I went to PAX East this year. I met established and cool new folks and played just a shoot ton of demos. Well, the thing I was supposed Garbage truck just farted outside my window. Well, the thing I was supposed to do was tell you about my favorite games. There was something just as captivating that I really need to talk about this. The only thing I know about any game that's on display is what I can see as I walk past its booth. So the information I get in that moment is critical to knowing what kind of game it is and if I want to stop to play it. And asking the person who's representing the game to explain the whole thing to you might not be possible, either because they're busy talking to someone else or because I'm shy and I don't want to engage with another human in that moment. I'm just a little guy in a very large convention with so many people and there's a lot of noises. So considering how important advertising is, it was really shocking to see how many booths doing kind of a not great job. I just want to know if I want to play it and then I can stop or I keep going. I'm trying to save all of us time here is what I'm saying. And like, I'm not saying that to be mean or that they're doing a bad job, but I know you want me to know if I want to play your game. But no, this is coming from someone who is not a game dev or a publisher or a marketing expert. And for PAX East synergy, every game I mention here is a game I played at PAX East and recommend you check it out. Also, if you're a dev or a publisher and have opinions, please do comment. I don't know what it's like from the other side of the table, and I think we could all learn from your insights. Much like folks can learn, please utilize the whole sign. If you're showing off a game at a convention, you have a sign. I'm pretty sure it's the law. But a disturbing amount of signs lacked the critical information someone like me wants to know. Walking by the Serenity Forge booth, I saw a sign for Fractured Blooms. The sign had horror vibes. I mean, that's cool, but like, what kind of horror was it going to be? Classic style survival horror? A bit of hide and seek? Monster f***ing? I had to pull out my phone and look up its Steam page to actually learn anything about the game. This is pretty, but it tells me nothing about if I want to play this game. That is far more engaging of a pitch than just a nice picture. And also, yeah, I want to play that game. It sounds awesome. But to be effective, the game's banner should have more than just the key art and name. It's a big ass banner. It would be nice to use some of that space for important information. For another example, Monster Hearts, Welcome to Drown Lake, had a banner that doesn't say anything about the game. But once the person working the booth said it was a narrative deck builder, I immediately sat down to try it. And I'm glad I did. It's a visual novel deck builder where you fill out your deck with cards based on the type of supernatural thing you are, and cards that are boons that are specific to the folks you talk to. But the sign didn't tell me any of that, and that would have like immediately got me involved because I only stopped there because it said Monster Hearts and I was curious if it had to do with the RPG. But like, if I didn't know what the RPG was, I might not have stopped. So like, please, that's a cool feature, show me. And one place that did do their banners exactly like this is Byte Rockers Games. Each banner had additional information at the bottom. Unfortunately, I didn't see that until someone pointed it out because the banners were kind of low and that text was behind the folks who were sitting down to play the games. But that didn't matter so much because what they did have was a menu. When I walked up to the Byte Rockers Games booth, name is kind of hard to say, a kind person working there gave me a small pamphlet. Each page showcased a different game with key art, story info, genre, and any other critical information. Short, sweet, informative. I learned that 2 out of the 6 games they were demoing, I wanted to play. And moments later, I was at a computer playing Solnox, Grimoire of Seasons, a deck-building turn-based strategy game where you can change the seasons and each one has a different effect. It was just a fun little strategy game. I was enjoying myself. But I only knew that because of the menu. Without it, I wouldn't have known which of the 6 games I would be interested in trying. I didn't want to take up that space if someone else came by and wanted to play the game that I wasn't enjoying, and I didn't want to waste the time of the person at the booth asking about all 6. But one thing their booth, and plenty of booths, could have benefited from is a curated demo reel. Explaining games with just text can be really difficult. For example, D6 is listed as a bullet hell roguelite, which gives you the broadest strokes of what it might play like, but just hearing that, did you expect movement to be on a circular track? Or that you had the ability to fly to add verticality to the bullet hell? Or that you rolled dice on this strange platform with different symbols to gain attacks and change the power of those attacks? And which dice you put where changed how each attack works? It was these unique features that ended up intriguing me the most out of the demo. But all of that is non-existent without seeing the game played. A minimally edited, 10 to 20 minute vertical slice played by someone who knows what they're doing would absolutely help those passing by or waiting in line to play it to understand what to expect and what to be excited about. While it's extra effective for weird non-traditional games like D6, it's still useful for familiar genres. But even if the game is in a familiar genre, don't solely rely on references to explain your game. This one's a little personal to me. If I tell you my game is a top-down refragmentation of Midnight Ghost Hunt and No One Can Stop Mr. Domino, that's about as useful to you understanding my game as me telling you that if you lick the switch cart, the game will taste like Cassis yogurt with a long espresso finish. In order to reference work, two things have to align. First, your audience has to be very familiar with everything you're referencing, which, speaking as someone with a chronic deficiency in playing popular games, is more likely than you think. Second, you have to ensure that the majority of people think about the same aspects of those references in the same way. If you say, "It's like Super Smash Brothers," Casey's gonna think about a competitive one-on-one fighter, while I'm going to think about a goofy party game for up to 8 players where you can set different nonsense rules for each match. Meanwhile, the person making the reference might have actually just wanted us to think about the Subspace Emissary mode, or that its main appeal is the mashup roster of characters or some shit. So if I want to explain what the demo of Fright Train plays like, I'd say it's a roguelike third-person shooter with a horror twist. A major feature is that everything from buying ammo to opening locked doors costs money. So you have to balance opening new areas with making sure you can purchase more ammo or healing items if things go sideways. Multiple things relying on a single resource added tension that fed into the horror of being trapped on a train with zombies. The comparison to another game is more useful after the person has a grasp of what the game is. So now if I tell you that Fright Train is like Resident Evil's Mercenaries mode meets a furry convention, you'll have a much better chance of understanding what the game is than if I started with that. And speaking of knowing what your game is, please make sure everything has branding or information on it. Here's a totally out there hypothetical situation. It's 2/3 of the way through your second of 3 days at a con. In a haze, you sit down and play a demo you know nothing about. To your delight, it's a solid demo. They give you a piece of merch for playing, and you write down the name of the game to check it out later. And a few days later, when you type in that name that you absolutely thought was correct, you find that that game does not come up when you search for it. But wait! You have that piece of merch. So you look at it and it literally says nothing about the game or the developer. Okay, spoilers, that is kind of what happened to me. I had to go to the PAX East 2026 website and check the official list of games that started with the letter N, hoping I at least got the first letter correctly. And thankfully, it pulled up Nocturnum, a twin-stick roguelike with a strong aesthetic. But that almost wasn't the case. Because when I looked it up on itch.io, Steam, or even just on the internet, none of those actually gave me the game. Like, it took a week or two after the convention for it to start showing up. It's easy to forget names or misspell or just be tired, especially if that game is one of like 40 played in a day. And one last quick one that's mostly just for me. Hey, please include a narrative hook. I played a lot of demos that were gameplay first and story about as present as fruit flavors in a LaCroix. And that's understandable, totally fine even, especially if the story isn't the main drive of the game. But please offer at least enough to give context to the gameplay and a little hook to show there's something more there. A little narrative motivation goes a long way with a demo. And also, just personally, I want to know that there is a story. I've played enough games after Hot Monday Energy to realize that there is no story and that I just straight up dropped them, despite the gameplay being fun. So I just want to know if it's there. Whew. Yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Please note, this is all coming from someone who wants to play your game. I want to learn about your game, so I know if I want to try it. If it's a 4X survival crafting Excel spreadsheet simulator, I will pass on it no matter how many of these steps you follow. But that's the point. You want folks to see your booth and understand what you have to offer so they know if they want to play it, ask more questions, or walk away and leave space open for someone who will enjoy it. So I say all this in hopes that these thoughts can improve the experience of both game devs and players alike at cons. So seriously, do leave your thoughts in the comments because we're all in this together and I want all of us to make it.